It's 2023, and so that means it's time for us to talk about the technologies we're watching most closely this year and beyond. But first, if you're a Main Street business who hasn't yet subscribed to our channel, we encourage you to go ahead and click that subscribe button now so that way you can get our best content as it's published. All right, so the first technology that we're paying attention to and we're watching very, very closely is artificial intelligence. Now, you may have seen on the internet or seen in the news people talking about this new technology called ChatGPT. And ChatGPT is really a sophisticated language model that allows users to enter in prompts and they get back responses that, frankly, have been pretty incredible. We're already personally starting to use this for some of our internal work, and we'll actually be developing a plugin for WordPress in the coming weeks, so stay tuned for that. But this technology is really amazing, not only because of what it can do, but because it signals that this technology is now being accessible and available to Main Street businesses and general consumers. This technology and other ones are becoming way more flexible and way more useful. And in the same way that 20 years ago, only a handful of people maybe used Microsoft Word for document publishing, and then actually probably longer than that, maybe 40 years ago that was the case, and then Google Docs came along, and essentially these tools have started to become democratized. Today, artificial intelligence is on the road to democratization, meaning that really anybody will be able to use these, although still today you probably need a developer or somebody with some tech skills to be able to manipulate them. The reality is, and the point is that this year and in the future, these tools will become even more accessible at an infrastructure level for Main Street businesses than they've ever been before. So this is definitely worth watching because it will make operations way more efficient, way more productive, and allow companies that are ahead of the curve, ahead of the data curve, ahead of the technology curve to really just kind of leapfrog relative to where they are today. The next technology we're paying attention to are what are called APIs. Now, API stands for Application Programming Interface, and that's really a fancy way of saying applications that can talk to each other. Now, APIs are not a new thing. They've existed for a little while. There are companies like Zapier and If This Then That for a long time have already been helping companies connect, product A or application A to application B. Think, for instance, of an instance where on your website somebody downloads or somebody signs up for your email list, and then it automatically ends up in MailChimp or whatever you're using for email automation. So these kinds of API connections have existed for quite a while. But what's happening is that they're becoming even more sophisticated, and now there are infrastructure-based APIs. So for example, the artificial intelligence tool that I was talking about before, ChatGPT, has an API that allows for developers, or potentially in the future, smaller businesses, to be able to use their data or use their application in their own other applications. Now, the reason that we're paying a lot of attention to this is because when you start to get more sophisticated kinds of applications, let's talk about voice to text or things like ChatGPT, or potentially computer vision applications that can then connect to other systems. What that means is that things that you spend time on now are able to, you're able to start chaining programs and software and tools in really interesting and creative ways. So let's imagine, for instance, that you're a roofing company and that you take a lot of pictures of roofs or the sides of houses, and you want somehow to be able to offer free quotes, but you need a way to classify these things quickly, and maybe you're short-staffed, you're having a hard time filling filling a quoter's role. So it's conceivable that you could build an application using APIs that allow you to take pictures of the roof or of a siding of a house, have that information not only stored in a Dropbox or an Amazon S3, but actually be able to evaluate those using potentially machine learning APIs that then generate a quote automatically. And again, I made that scenario up off the top of my head, but there's lots and lots of different ways where you can imagine people interacting either with voice or with video or with text, and then having that information essentially be transmitted into other areas for use in different applications. And so APIs are what make this possible, and I would say that anybody that finds themselves doing a lot of redundant or repetitive work, or frankly a lot of administrative work, there's a good chance that probably the right set of APIs could potentially streamline some of those processes. The third and final thing that we're really paying a lot of attention to is automation. Now, automation is not a new thing. In fact, there's probably a good chance that you've got some automations set up. If you have an Alexa and when you get home you say, "Alexa, turn on the lights," that's technically an automation. But what's really fascinating, building on the first two items, is that with AI and APIs, you then have an opportunity to start making really interesting automations that allow for the completion of really sophisticated work that up until recently really relied on humans to do it. Now, we're still very, very early on, and that's why this is one of the technologies that we're paying attention to, but there will be entirely new industries built on this infrastructure of AIs, APIs, and automations, and there will be entirely new businesses that are built that serve Main Street businesses. Now, if you are a Main Street business and you've got processes that you currently spend a lot of time on, or you're having trouble hiring for, or that you feel like you're maybe not really sure, or you feel like it could be automated, like the person that's doing the job is, maybe not as great as you would like, there's a good chance that with AIs, APIs, and automation, that some of that work, some of that overhead could start to go the way of the dodo. Now, again, everyone's mileage is going to vary a little bit. Your industry is going to be specific, and there will be, niche specific applications. But this trifecta of AI, API, and automation is really going to start transforming your business and all Main Street businesses, both in 2023 and beyond. Now, the reality is these technologies are not going to be the only three technologies that matter this year. Based on your industry, any number of other things could matter just as much, if not more. But the reason that I call out these three particular technologies, AI, API, and automation, is because we're going to see really interesting configurations start to evolve this year that will transform Main Street businesses. And if you are a Main Street business, there's going to be a lot of opportunity for you to figure out how to start decreasing costs and increasing revenue by using these tools in really new and innovative and constructive ways. Now, the reality is there's still very much a learning curve, and you still will probably going to need to work with a professional developer to really put together any number of interesting combinations. But the time, energy, and effort to do this is significantly less than it used to be. No longer do you have to be Apple, Google, or Facebook to use these technologies. These are starting to come down market, and they will start to transform your industry and every other Main Street industry out there. Hey, I hope you found this helpful. If you did, please take a second to hit like and subscribe. If you know anyone else in your network who you think would find this useful as well, please do us a favor and share this video with them. I thank you for taking the time to watch this video, and we'll see you on the next one.